Ah, bollocks.
Good guys, welcome to Friday Waffle. Now, as you can probably tell, I am back in my comfortable seat again. I just couldn't be arsed sitting on the stool. Now, apologies for basically appearing down the very bottom half of the screen, but again, it's just the way I've got the camera set up. Now, if I look like I'm sitting at a squint angle, it's because the camera is tilted at a squint angle because I've got my wife's dressing gowns are all hanging up in this door, so I had to kind of turn the camera around to cut these off. So anyway, it's Friday. I trust you've all had a decent week. I've had no bad week actually. As I mentioned in last week's waffle, I went down to, or I was going down to York. Went down, when did we travel down? We travelled down on Monday. Stayed until Wednesday. What did we do? We went to the York Castle Museum, which was recommended by Jamie, who hails from York. Really enjoyed that, Jamie. We also did the chocolate experience, I think it is. Basically tell you about the history of chocolate, where it came from. We talk about Cadbury's, Rowntree's, how all these companies all originated from York. What else did we do? We did a ghost tour on Tuesday night. Now, to call it a ghost tour is probably stretching it slightly. It was a guy, an actor obviously, you know, he was kind of dressed up as a sort of an Undertaker type character. And, you know, to be fair, he was really, he kind of, the character that he portrayed was really good. He managed to kind of stay in character the whole time. He only really told about 3 stories, and you know, whether they're true or not is another thing, but it was quite entertaining. It was only £5 each, so we all enjoyed it. Went out for a couple of meals, as you do. That was it. That was really it. It was it was a relaxing 3 days though. You know, I think you really have to every now and again just get away from normal life, get away from your work, and just completely switch off and just do relaxing things, and that's exactly what we did. So came back up on Wednesday afternoon, back home for about 4 o'clock I think it was. So that's that. The last couple of days I've not done very much. Back to work on Monday. It's funny how though, as much as you really look forward to being off, I personally find that after 3 or 4 days of sitting about in the house, you start to kind of get a bit fed up. I suppose it would be different if it was just, if you're off on your own, you could sort of do what you want, but when you're off and your family are off as well, you can't just sit upstairs and, you know, play the Xbox all day or sit and watch films all day. But as much as I'm not looking forward to going back to work, I'm kind of looking forward to just kind of getting back to normal. So yeah, back to work this Monday. This tomorrow actually, I've got the funeral of my mate, who I mentioned last week. Now, just a thing, there's a lot of people out there who badmouth the internet. They just say it's fully paedophiles, people looking to scam you, untrustworthy types. Well, I have, as I mentioned before, I'm part of this video games forum and have been a member of it for about 16 years. I put out a wee, because I'm going to the funeral tomorrow, I mean obviously my mate is in Scotland and most of the guys in the forum are from, you know, down south. There are a couple of guys coming from England, there's one guy coming from Ireland for the funeral, but I posted a message last night I think it was, saying why would anybody like to contribute and we'll get them a wreath. So that's what I've done. Now in the space of under a day I've got almost £400. Now that's from about 15, 20 people, whatever it is. But it just goes to show that, you know, people who criticise the internet saying it's just fully, you know, people out to rip you off and that kind of thing. There's a side to the internet, and the YouTube things are another indication of that there are some real decent people out there who you can meet online. As I say, I've got just under £400. I ordered a wreath. We're getting a jet setter, so a Mamemeister wreath for him, and other chunky money. What we're planning to do is, well, we were originally going to donate it to charity, but what we're going to do is we're going to give it to his wife to give to the two kids when she feels the time is right. You know, just get them a little something. I know, you know, money can never ever replace them losing their dad, but hopefully maybe in 6 months down the line, whatever, when things settle down a wee bit, she can use the money to treat the kids to something. So yeah, that's I'm not looking forward to tomorrow, obviously, but it's one of these things. It'd be nice to catch up with a few of the guys that are making the trip from London. So aye, that's what I've been up to. Something I was thinking about, has there ever been a game that you absolutely obsessed over back in the day? One, let me think about this. Back in, it would be 84, I think it was, 84, 85, 1984 actually, yeah, because it was just shortly after getting my C64. I got a game, and it was called, what was it called? Hustler, by Bubble Bus Software on the C64, and it was a pool game. It was not a particularly good pool game. I mean, the balls for starters weren't even round, they were kind of square balls. I think you had 6 balls all in, plus the white ball. The only good thing about the game was the music. It had a really cracking version of Pop Black. But this game turned into a bit of an obsession for me, and it was a friend at the time. We were probably, what year we'd been, 5th or 6th year at school. I hadn't long had my C64, and me and my mate, this guy, Robert was one of these guys. He was a bit of a loner. He was into heavy metal music, but he didn't really, I don't know what it was, he was a bit of a loner, and he wasn't even a particularly nice person. He used to kind of hang about, he tried to kind of hang about with us back in high school, but he was one of these guys. He wasn't a bully, but he used to kind of wind up people all the time, and so it became a point that people didn't even want to kind of hang about with him. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing slightly. I remember it was in religious education at high school, and I happened to mention to Robert that I had got this computer and I had a pool game on it. Now back then we were quite obsessed with playing pool. You know, you weren't quite legal age to get in a pub, but you know, the thought of being able to play pool and snooker, snooker was massive obviously at that point in time, really popular. And I happened to mention to Robert that I had this pool game. So Robert came down to the house, and we started playing it, and as I says, it became an obsession. It got to the point where, I mean, to play one game, it could literally take, I don't think there was there? Yeah, there was 6 balls plus the white, so you had like 3 of your own colour each at the pot. So a game could sometimes take maybe 30 seconds. It was over really quickly. Now looking back at this game, I says the game itself is shit. You couldn't put like side on the ball. You just had the power bar just kind of kept moving up like that all the time. You have to basically press the fire button to stop it. In fact, I'll stick a link to the game. I'm sure I actually played it fairly recently. I'll put a link up to the top corner just now. So that's the game there, Hustler. But yeah, where am I going with this? We started playing this game, and it became very competitive. And what we used to do is Robert used to come down to the house. I mean, he used to come down to my house. I was still living at my mum and dad's house at that point, obviously. He used to come down to the house at like 10 o'clock at night, and he would stay the night, and we would stay up till, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning playing this game. We used to play like first to 100 frames, and it really became so competitive. It's, you know, it's interesting how a very basic game can can draw out the competitiveness of people, and that's probably something that you're never going to get again, with obviously online stuff. You know, I just don't think you get the same experience as you do when you're sitting beside somebody actually playing it. But aye, that was one game that I'm obsessed with. For another game, and oddly enough, it was this guy Robert again. He used to, I mean, he was the same age as me, but I was very small. Still, I'm quite small in height. Robert was quite tall, so he used to kind of go to pubs. He used to go to pubs when he was like 16, 17 years old. He used to smoke as well. I've never smoked in my life. Don't like the habit. But he used to smoke, so he used to kind of hang around pubs. The other game that I got was it was called Superfruit, and I'm sure was it by Commodore? I think it might have been Commodore himself actually made it, and it was a fruit simulator, and it was, again, looking back on it, it was as basic as you could possibly get. I think you had like nudges. I'm sure you could nudge, and you also got obviously hold. I was going to say pause. You also got to hold bars as well. That was it. There was nothing else. There's no features, no kind of gambling features or anything like that at all. It was just, yeah, you had your nudges and you had your holding different bars. But again, that was another one of these games where we became, Robert and myself, we became completely obsessed with it, to the point it was probably quite unhealthy. But you know, we could sit and play that game for a couple of hours at a time, just trying to see what kind of money you could amass. And ultimately, the money that you were making was completely irrelevant. Other obsessive games, I wouldn't say obsessive, but what games did you play all night? Another game that my mate Don and myself played was Elite. I remember buying Elite on disc, and I just couldn't quite get to grips with it. And then one day we thought, right, let's see if we can actually beat this game. So we started playing it, and we played it all night. Again, that was back when you were at school. You didn't have any job. You didn't have any responsibilities. No commitments. No kids, wives, partners, whatever. You were just you were living the dream. You were living at home. You know, you could lie in bed till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Hence the reason you could stay on the computer till 3, 4 in the morning. But Don and I, we played Elite all night, and I'm sure when we started, obviously we started off, was it Harmless? I think it was. That was your thing, rating. That's the word. And by the end of the following morning, I think we were up to Dangerous. Then another game that we played non-stop was Football Manager. Now we started off, I think we played it was easy level, but we started off in the bottom league, and we discovered that if you, now how did this work again? If you put a player for sale, you put a player up for sale, and another club offered money, if you turned it down, they would then become injured, and then the next game they went up to 100% health. So we found that out, and what we did was we would try and sell every single player, and it meant that after, I can't remember exactly how it worked, but you basically, see you had 20 people in a squad, you would put all your players up for sale bar like 11, and then these 11 would then, you would get offers put in for them, and then the next turn they were all up to 100%. So we basically, through a kind of, I don't know if it's a bug, probably was a bug actually, we were able to get all our players up to like 100% power, stamina, morale, whatever it was, and we went on to win all the leagues. Utterly pointless, but yeah, that was another game that absolutely obsessed over. I'm trying to think of any game myself that kind of took over my life. I mean, Way of the Exploding Fist, I played that an awful lot. When I got that, I can still remember reading the review in Zap, and it just looked the absolute dog's bollocks. And I went up to the computer shop, my local computer shop, which, as I've mentioned multiple times, it was run by a guy called Ray Agostini. Now, Ray was an Italian guy. He opened this computer shop I would probably say it must have been mid 80s. I would say maybe 76, 77. Really, really early days. You know, I had never seen a computer until I knew about this computer shop, and it was fantastic. I mean, his shop was, I would probably say it's the size of a small living room, very, very small room. But we used to go up to this shop, and you'd go up there on a Saturday, and you would just hang about the shop. You would just stand about, you'd look at the computers getting used, you would get to play some of the games if you're lucky. He was one of these guys, depending on what mood he was in, he would let you use the computers. Other times he was a bit kind of grumpy and you would just kind of stand about. I think the fact that we went in there and spent all day in the computer shop and never really bought anything, that probably didn't help matters. But yeah, it was fantastic times. You'd go in, I mean, I could still remember it. You walked in the door and you had this overwhelming smelly pipe smoke, because Ray smoked a pipe, and because it was such a small kind of room, you know, it stunk of pipe smoke. But that didn't put us off, because inside this room there was all these computers. There was Atari 400s with their sort of membrane ZX81 type keyboard. There was Atari 800s. I think that was the only two computers he had. He also had disk drives, and on these machines, you know, it was all the classic early American games, games that weren't available in the UK until later on when US Gold decided to import. There was all this stuff like from Synapse. You had your Seamus, you had Blue Max, Fort Apocalypse, what else? Drelbs, Spy Hunter. All these games, was it F-15 I think it was, all these American games, and they were just, you know, bear in mind that we'd never seen a computer until, well, that's not entirely true. I hadn't seen a computer at that point, but I'd obviously had an Atari 2600, but to compare graphics on the Atari 800 compared to like a 2600, it was just like night and day. I mean, you had other games like all the Epix titles, summer games, and it was the future. And the funny thing was, I mean, I would be, what, I don't know what age I'd be, 16 years old. I didn't have a job, I didn't have any income to speak of. And these machines were something that I just simply couldn't ever afford. It was something that was so unimaginable. I suppose it'd be like me now looking at you know, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I'm never going to be able to afford something like that. And it was the same back in whenever it was, 76 or something. I was looking at these computers and I had no way of ever owning them. But it was just magical. It was really, really magical. And then obviously things changed when eventually I bought a computer, albeit the Texas T1994A, which was, I'm not going to say it was rubbish, considering I only had one game for it, which was written in BASIC. The game I had was crap. But shortly after that, I was lucky enough to get a part-time job. I was still at school, and I got this part-time job Thursday night, Friday night and Saturday, and sometimes if you're lucky you got a Sunday. I used to be in charge of the trolley. Well, not in charge, I was responsible for collecting trolleys. Happy days. It's funny, I go up to the shopping centre now and I can still see myself collecting these trolleys. But yeah, it was hard work, and I mean, you know, the management, some of the managers in these places, they treated you like shite. You know, when you look back now, you think they simply wouldn't get away with that. But you know, that was what it was like back then. So then on a Saturday, you would get I can't remember what time it was. At the end of a Saturday, the woman would come down with your wages, and it was in a little brown envelope. And she would shout out your name, and you had to sign for your wages. And I think on an average week, when I used to work, was it 5 till 8, Thursday, Friday, and whatever time it was. Like I used to do 4 hours on a Saturday, or sometimes they would ask you if you could work all day. But I used to vary. I used to generally earn about £12 to £15 a week, which, you know, isn't a lot of money. But the important thing for me was it was enough money to buy a computer magazine and a game, one game for the C64. So I would buy Zap on the Saturday when it came out, and then I would have a couple of games that I wanted to pick up. Now this was before, I mean, Ray's shop was the only place you could buy computer games for probably a couple of years, and then John Menzies, or John Mingus, as some of you English people like to pronounce it, they started stocking computer games, which made things a lot easier because it meant I could leave work and run the sort of 100 yards to John Menzies and buy the game. But before John Menzies opened up, I used to finish work at 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and Ray's shop used to close at 5:30. Back then I had a little Honda C50 moped, and I used to jump on that. I used to finish work, get out as soon as I could, fly down the escalator onto my moped. Invariably I had to avoid glue sniffers and punks who would sometimes chase you because they were out their face and, you know, sniffing glue. And then I would drive, I don't know how far it would be, the 2-3 miles up to Ray's computer shop. Now sometimes I would get there and it would be shut. It might only be 5:15 or 5:20, but because Ray was the only guy, it was only him that was in the shop. I think if the shop was quiet, then he would just close up. He obviously didn't realise, you know, we're talking before, this is before mobile phones. So he would probably think, well, I'll stuff it, I'll close up, there's nobody going to turn up. And then lo and behold, I would turn up in my moped, and I was always absolutely gutted because I was back to school the next day, and invariably I'd have to wait a whole week before I could get back to the shop again. But yeah, if I was lucky, Ray would still be open, and I would rush in and hopefully pick up the game that I wanted to buy. So yeah, I got Exploding Fist. I remember reading about it in Zap. My mate, I can still remember it as clear as day. I went up to the computer shop and he told me it was going to be coming in on, was it the next day, I think it was. Now this was during the summer holidays, and my mate Grant, he back then he used to come down to my house every single day, you know, without fail. So I phoned him and I says, look, it's coming out tomorrow, could you pick up for me? So Grant very kindly, when he was coming down to my house, he kind of went past the shop, so he popped into the shop and bought this game. Have I got it here? I think I have somewhere. Where have I put it? Where have I put it? There we go. Now unfortunately this is not the actual one that I owned, but Grant came down the road with this Exploding Fist, and it just absolutely blew our socks off. I would hate to think how many hours I spent playing this game. Never got particularly far in it. I mean, I know there's the infamous leg sweep, where you can just keep leg sweeping and basically beat all the opponents. I never ever did that. In fact, I don't think I even, there's no instructions unfortunately. I don't think I ever actually did that, but we used to play that on 2-player mode, and again, it's hard to really get over just what it felt like before games like this came out. You know, the graphics in a lot of the games were just absolutely mince, and then this game came along with, you know, absolutely beautiful looking rendered graphics. You know, the sprites were about, you know, 6 inches tall, or they weren't 6 inches tall, or maybe 3 inches tall, but massive sprites. Sound effects to die for. I mean, it was the only game that I've played that actually makes you have a heart attack when you're actually loading it. If you've never loaded this game from a tape, I suggest you do it. I mean, if anybody has seen it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but there's something happens when you load this game on tape, and I guarantee you'll get the fright of your life. Make sure you turn your volume of the TV up nice and loud. But yeah, Exploding Fist, I absolutely loved that to bits. Another game which, again, I saw, if I know I did I see that in Zap? I can't, you know what, I don't think I did. And it's this game, Beachhead. I don't think that was reviewed in Zap. again, I remember going up to Ray's computer shop, and a lot of time before kind of Zap came out, I used to go up and just, like everybody else, you would just go along the shelves and you'd pick up the game and you would look at it. I mean, I'm looking at this one here, Ultimate 3D Arcade Action. Well, I wouldn't say it's three-dimensional, but anyway, multi-screen, amazing sound, a challenging naval battle followed by an invasion with land foes. I remember taking this game home, loading it up, and absolutely being blown away with the some of the graphics in this game. I mean, I still stand by what I'm going to say even now. The sound effect of the planes flying overhead in this particular game on the C64 are some of the most impressive sound effects I've ever heard of any game. Now, I'm not talking about current consoles, because obviously they can just digitise, they can just have the real sound effect, but the actual roar of the planes going overhead, as I said, even now I still think it's an absolutely staggering achievement. But yeah, this game I played non-stop. Got to admit, I never actually played on anything other than easy, but that was a game that I obsessed over, loved it to bits, and it's still up there as one of my favourite games. Yep, looking at it now, you realise it's quite a shallow game, but you know what, it's all about nostalgia, it's all about memories, and you know, the happy memories you got from actually playing that. So yeah, that's another superb game. Right, okay, that's me, I'm just going off on a complete waffle there. Like I says, I was kind of struggling for topics, but yeah, I've got a couple of questions here, or paragraphs as I should actually say. First one is from a chap, Ben Dust, fantastic name. Thanks very much for your question, by the way, Ben. For the Friday Waffle, sorry to hear about your mate's passing. Cancer has touched my family too. If only more people could live by the message that they're by the grace of God go I, then maybe they would have a good impact on what people realise are important things in life, which are empathy, compassion and understanding. Thank you very much for that, Ben. I totally agree with you. I mean, cancer it's a nasty, nasty thing. Sadly, it's something that any one of us can get, but I think there's a lot more people survive cancer now, thankfully, through all the research that they've done. So by no means is it, you know, the end of the road for you if you do happen to get it, but it's something that I think there's probably not many people it hasn't touched. So yeah, thanks for that, mate. You're so right about the Wii U. I think it's a great family system. Would you buy the NX though if it was backwards compatible with Wii and Wii U games? Now, I did mention this console last week, but I say I mentioned that I'd heard there was a Nintendo console coming out. So is that what it is, the NX? Now, I've got to say I don't know anything about it at all. No, I don't know anything at all about it. The only thing I do know is that, you know, Nintendo were talking about pulling the Wii U, which I think would be pretty cheeky. And I think I would be tempted, if they did pull the Wii U, I think I would be tempted to basically, you know, say to Nintendo, screw you, I'm not supporting you anymore, because to have a console that's only been out for 3 years and then stop supporting it, I think is bad play. I really don't. That's basically showing absolutely no loyalty to the people that actually give them money, i.e. the customer, you know. So if they do pull the Wii U, I don't see myself getting an NX, unless of course it's absolutely fantastic. But like I said, I don't know anything about it at all. Would backwards compatibility in that really bother me too much? I've got to say, I think because I have all the systems, well, pretty much most of the systems. I've got a Wii U. I mean, I've got, like, the perfect example is I've got a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. I've got all 4 PlayStations sitting here in this room, all connected to this TV in front of me. The ability to play other systems on newer systems isn't something that really bothers me too much. I totally get it. You know, there's a lot of people that only have maybe, you know, the one console, which is probably what most normal people have. So if somebody's got a large collection of PS3 games and they can play it, and they've got the opportunity to play all the games in the PS4, then that's going to be a big selling point. It really is. But the way I see it, a lot of the time, making newer systems backwards compatible, it's going to, one, it's going to push the price up, the actual system itself, because obviously they're having to kind of, you know, they're having to sort of reverse engineer, they're having to put an extra ability. It's going to push the system up. And secondly, it's not always perfect emulation. I mean, I don't know if it's emulation or I think it is. I actually read that the PS3 plays. No, wait a minute. Is it the PS2 plays? No, it's the PS3 plays the PS2. Let me get this right. The PS3 plays PS2 games through emulation, so it's not actually got the hardware built in, and as a consequence of that, apparently some of the games don't play as well as they should. Where I'm going with this, I'm not quite sure. Because I've got all the consoles, I think if you really want to be able to play PS2 games or PS3 games, then just buy a console. I mean, a PS3 you can pick up now for probably under 50 quid. A PS2 you can pick up for 20 quid. They're dirt cheap. So really, there's no excuse to, you know, to not be able to play these games. If you've got a big collection of these games and you want to be able to play them, then just pick up an actual model. You know, pick up an original machine. They're not expensive. So backwards compatibility isn't something that really interests me too much. Yeah, it would be nice if you could just bang all your discs for older systems into a newer one. It would just work off the bat, but that tends not to work. I know with like the PS4 and the Xbox, they're constantly bringing out new games or old games. So they're bringing out support to allow the newer systems to play the old games. But like I said, I've got all the systems, so backwards compatibility isn't really something that's a big kind of switch on for me at all. But anyway, listen, Ben, thanks very much for the question, mate. If there's anything else you want to ask me, just ping it below. And lastly, I've got the ever reliable Mr. Down the Rabbit Hole, Kev. Thank you, Kev, for the Friday Waffle. Hi, Alan. My condolences on the passing of your friend that you mentioned last week. I too have had to bury a close friend recently, and he was younger than me. I completely agree with what you mentioned last week. Live every moment to the fullest. Well, firstly, Kev, I'm sorry to hear about your mate. I'm in exactly the same boat. I said I've got his funeral tomorrow. It's something that sucks big style. Unfortunately, as we get older, it's something that's becoming all the more common. But it just makes you realise, yeah, life can be very, very short. Life can be snatched away from people in the blink of an eye. So you really need to make the most of it. That's what I certainly intend to do. On that subject then, right, okay, I sometimes come up with crazy ideas for my YouTube channel, like eating dog food. Yep, he's not wrong, guys. Kev did actually put out a video where he ate dog food. In fact, I'll put a link. Is it that side or is it that side? That side, I think it is. Yeah, I think. Yep, Kev did actually eat dog food. And on one occasion, part of me hesitates and I reconsider not going for it. That's when my go for the gutso philosophy kicks in. Have you ever suddenly had cold feet when you're about to make a video? How did you overcome it and proceed? I've got to say, Kev, I've never done anything as brave as you. I've never eaten dog food. I've never done anything, you know, remotely challenging as such. I've seen me, like probably most YouTubers, and in fact I did it like earlier on tonight, you start recording a video and you become aware of your own voice, and you become aware of what you're talking about is actually quite dull, and as you're talking you start to doubt doubts start creeping into your head and you think, why am I even doing this? And you just stop in your tracks and pull the plug on it. So I've done that a few times. I've never set out to do a video and had cold feet at all. But absolutely kudos to you for the dog food eating one. I suppose the closest I've come to that would be my bean boozle challenge. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's the jelly bean boozle challenge. My daughter bought them about, must be about a year ago, and myself and Ava, my daughter, we decided to make a video, which I shall put a link to up there again, I think, where it was the jelly beans. They come in something like 10 flavours. You've got, you know, 10 normal flavours, or maybe not as many as 10. You've got maybe 5 normal flavours. You've got like blueberry, apple, whatever it is. But then you've also got disgusting ones like dog food, sick, earthworm, toothpaste. Now toothpaste, I must admit, was just like mint. It was absolutely fine. But yeah, like, I mean, you've got a chocolate one and you've got a dog food one, and they're both the same colour, so you've got absolutely no idea what one's what, because they've got a kind of crispy glazing hard shell over them. You can't smell anything. It's only when you actually bite into them you actually get to taste it. But yeah, we made quite a fun video about a year ago. Funnily enough, I seem to get all the bad ones and my daughter seemed to get all the good ones, so I think it was actually fixed. But aye, so anyway, listen guys, I'm going to draw this video to a close. I don't want it to drag on too long. Apologies about lack of direction with this one. I was quite close to not even putting out a Friday Waffle, but I do feel a certain obligement to try and get this video out. I do normally enjoy making it, but I say it's just, I think I've had other things on my plate because I've been away on holiday for a few days. Plus I've had other things to kind of think about. I've just not had my head in gear at all to kind of come up with stuff, but I do promise I will get back in track and get more videos put out. So that is it guys. Oh, I can't really not mention it. I'm now apparently over 700 subscribers. I don't know how that happened. I still do kind of feel slightly guilty that through circumstances, you know, I lost all these subscribers, and then through the wonderful community that is the retro community in YouTube, they got me about another 200 subscribers. And so my sub levels jumped from like 499 to like 600 overnight. So I've kind of never really thought about doing any like a, you know, 600 or 700 special. But thank you very much to anybody that's just joined the channel. Hopefully you'll see enough to kind of keep you wanting to stay. Please put all your comments down below. That's a massive thing for YouTube. It's the interaction with everybody. It might be my ugly mug that's on behind the camera, or in front of the camera I should say, but it's a community. It's everybody, you know. The more kind of interaction and talking that we have, the more fun it is for everybody. So that is it guys. Thank you all for your support as usual, and lastly, thank you very much for watching.